CES at the Content Studio. I'm John Trettal, Chief Digital Officer for Yamamoto, and with me today I have Josh Silva for Kamado Joe and Masterbuilt. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking a break from the show floor. I know it's a little chaotic out there and hectic. It's nice to break away and come talk to us, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and it's definitely nice to come out and just have a seat for a few minutes.
Awesome, perfect. I've got a couple questions for you. We'll make it pretty painless, but we want your point of view on a few things. So, being in the grilling industry, right, we're really interested in, how has technology really changed the way people are grilling and cooking today? It must be making a difference. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, it really is. I would say, thinking, if I kind of had to distill it down, there's probably three things that we see, at least in our world, that grilling and technology has done. The first is just accessibility, right? Yeah. So taking something like charcoal, for example, which has been notoriously difficult to work with, a challenge to light, it's a challenge to maintain temperature historically. It's actually taken a fuel source that is extremely popular and made it more just accessible, right? Because now you have technology that helps you light the charcoal, it helps you control your temperature, and so it just makes it easier in that respect. The second thing that I would say is really convenience. Charcoal used to be something where it wasn't quick. You had to plan for it, you had to cook on the weekends, and that was your weekend cook, and maybe during the weekday you would use your gas grill or something else, or a pellet grill even, right? Now with technology, you can conveniently light your charcoal grill and cook just as quickly as a gas or a pellet grill during the week. So it's taken what's traditionally been a weekend activity and brought it into the weekday. And then I would say the last thing really is just about experience. I think as people have, coming out of COVID, people really wanted to get into a hobby and get into something that was interesting and experiential. And we've seen, people gravitate towards our Masterbuilt Gravity Series grill, where there's digital connection. Our new Kamado Joe Connected Joe, where you can easily control the grill, from your phone and have that experience and still have time to prepare your food, still have time to interact with your guests. But it's that experience of being around sort of that flame that makes it worthwhile.
That's cool. That's a little different than what it used to be.
Definitely.
For sure. So when you start to think about the equipment itself and the accessories, you mentioned some of the recent advancements, but are there other things that you're seeing out there as far as accessories and whatnot? Definitely.
I think one of the things that we're seeing now with digital technology and connected tech in general, especially in the grilling space, is predictive data. So now where, I used to have to guess in terms of how long my cook was going to take. Now there's things out there with meat probes and that you can check your meat temperature from your phone and see, I think it's going to be done in an hour based on the temperature that I want to hit. And so there are a lot of different devices out there that are helping cooks become at refining how you're cooking,
right?
Because you're able to say, I've never done a brisket before, right? I don't want to waste money or ruin a cook on an expensive piece of meat if I don't know how to cook it properly. Well, now there are tools out there that'll help you be more confident in cooking your meat.
So is that enabling then, like, the person who is like an average cook, to be a better cook, down the road, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It goes back to that sort of convenience factor, right? It's making cooking a lot easier for somebody. It's giving people more confidence that they're not going to ruin that piece of meat, because now if I put my meat probe in and I know I want to hit a medium rare steak and I want to get it to 118 before I pull it off, or 125, I can do that and feel more confident about it, as opposed to previously when you were out grilling, you just going, is that done? I don't know. I'm going to leave it on a little bit, right?
Exactly.
All
right, very cool. So when you start to think about technology outside of the equipment and the accessories and whatnot, what are you thinking about as far as using technology, in your marketing strategies, such as AR in stores and whatnot?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for us, what we've seen with consumers is they want to shop kind of wherever they can, right? So we have to be with them throughout the journey.
Right.
Sometimes that's in store, sometimes that's online, sometimes that's in store searching online. And so by utilizing technology like augmented reality, it gives us the opportunity to show up and provide the same amount of information, whether they're on our website, whether they're at a retailer. It also gives us the opportunity to have a salesperson available, because you know, you go into a mass retailer and there's not always a retail associate available, and there's not always an educated retail associate available. They might not know the specifications about the grill. They might not know how much grill space you have, or you know, what the temperature range is of the product. And so having something like augmented reality, where a consumer can scan the QR code, they can see the hot spots on the grill of, okay, this is what this feature set is. This is what this feature set is. I can watch a video on the grill. I can look at how much, you know, chicken and ribs and, you know, how much real estate I have to cook. So it gives us the ability to interact with consumer where they're at in their customer journey.
I love that. It'll be interesting to see how the analytics come across on the Connected Joe. Right now we have augmented reality on the floor that we're playing with a little bit to see how that works. It'll be interesting to see, you know, how that's being
I'm excited
consumed, right? Exactly. So I know you haven't had a lot of time to, you know, walk the floor and whatnot, because you've been, you know, at your own booth and whatnot, but the time that you have spent, what have you seen out there that influences your thinking as far as how you could apply some of it to your industry?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because, you know, I walked the gaming area earlier, audio and visual, and one of the interesting things that I saw was a lot of the technology is centered around haptic technology, VR, right, AR, this idea of experience, and bringing more experience to something that's traditionally been in indoor activity like video games. It really, for me, the thematic is that people want experience, right? And so how do we create products that are allowing people to engage and create those experiences within their own life? So it might not necessarily be a direct correlation in terms of a technology, but how are we making our technology, how are we making our product easier to use, how are we making it more convenient so that they can feel confident to have that experience?
Love it. So then, you know, looking forward, right? So CES is always like, you know, you see things and it's like 2 to 5 years out or never, you know? So if you were to like map something out, if you were to think about, this is what is going to be game changing for your industry, for grilling, right? And things like that, what would it be? What would be the next thing out here that isn't out here yet?
Ooh, that's a really good question. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but we see this use of AI, right? The term AI is sort of the hot button topic right now, and how it's being used and where it's being used. I'll be interested to see how and if AI impacts the grilling space, right? You know, you talked a little bit earlier about the predictive data, right? And will AI be used in a way that helps cooks become more confident in what they're doing, and how is it being used? Or is it just a term we're going to use to really reference, like, our algorithms are getting better because we're getting more people cooking on our connected devices? I think the other thing that we'll continue to see is sort of that idea of bringing the indoors outside. What you're seeing in a lot of, you know, trends in kitchen spaces is the outdoor kitchen is now becoming a central hub for a lot of consumers, where they're investing in areas in their backyards and patios to really make you know, a space for themselves that they're cooking. So it's not just about a grill, but they're often having multiple devices. So they might have a grill, they might have a pizza oven, they might have a refrigeration unit. And so how are we creating, you know, products that maybe link
so
these
everything's
things
integrated,
together?
right? Like a little ecosystem.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
like that.
Creating an ecosystem that helps consumers then understand like where they're at, right? Like, when should I pull my meat out of the fridge to make sure it's fully defrosted? When should I put it on the grill?
It'll be nothing for me to think about anymore. I can't wait for the day that, you know, I can put my brisket on the grill, right? And then, you know, I put the probe in it, walk away, tell AI to, you know, spritz it, turn it, do whatever I need to do, and let me know when it's done, and maybe robotically slice it up, and I'm ready to go. So I'm waiting for that day, maybe in about 4 or 5 years. So. Awesome. Anything else you want to add? I think this was great. Really appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having us. Appreciate being here.
All right. Thanks, everyone.